listen, expect the Spanish Inquisition. It's head first only television.
Good evening. It's November the 5th. It's bonfire night. Fireworks are going off here because we celebrate Mr. Guy Fawkes, who in 1605 tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament and failed. Damn. Good evening to Array of Emotions. Good evening to Ryako Music. Good evening to Wobby. It's ghost busting time. That's what it is, says Array of Emotions. Indeed, after the absolute shambles of last Thursday's pre-Halloween stream where everything went wrong, there were requests for me to wear the costume again. So HFO is in cosplay, full-on homemade Ghostbusters outfit. And I'm sure Mel is going to want me to do the twirl, so let's do the twirl. So, got the industrial strength gloves, got the gadget pack, got the dangly bits. Look at that. Custom built patch and elbow pads and Ghostbusters and yeah, the whole works. And goodness me, it's warm. So I will probably melt this evening, but I've got lots to share. So Ryako Music says, "You're wearing it!" Yes, I am, especially for you and Array of Emotions, who both wanted to see me look a complete idiot. But I watched Ghostbusters again at the weekend, and it's the original 1984 movie, and it's brilliant. Mel says you can change now, says Array of Emotions. Not on camera. So, first off, hello, welcome. If you're watching this on YouTube, then please subscribe, please follow me. It really helps if you click the little like button at the bottom, and if you do subscribe and you click on the little bell, it'll tell you the next time that I load something on YouTube. And at the moment, I'm putting about 2 to 3 hours of content on YouTube a week, and it's been a bit rambly over the last 3 or 4 weeks because of all this, but I'm pretty much bedded in now, and I have music to share with you. In fact, I have quite a lot of music to share with you because I've been inspired by having a proper studio. However, big shout out to Z Coop, who pushed me over the edge. You know, I talked a couple of weeks ago about getting hangers because there is a lot of spare shelf space, spare wall space up here, and this lot are getting in the way, to say the least. And when I do eventually get my controller keyboard, which will sit here, the guitar rack's gonna get in the way. So I've ordered some guitar hangers from Gear 4 Music, which is my supplier of choice, and we'll put those up when the hangers arrive. Only problem is the headstock on the Parker Fly. That is not a headstock built for a guitar hanger. And I think this one will just have to live next to me because it's my precious. So the Telecasters and the Strat copies and everything else can go on the wall, but that will have to do. Wobby says, is it me? Or is it only in left channel? I fixed all of this. You're absolutely right. The right-hand channel is about 20 dB less than the right-hand channel. So bear with me once again. I faff around with the Zoom's control knobs. So thank you very much, Wobby, for keeping on top of my the stream curse has already struck, and we've been going, what, 10 minutes? Good evening, Atitlan 66. Happy second lockdown. Yes, although to be honest, I've kind of been locked down with various stuff going on since 18 months ago. But yeah. So, a Ray of Emotion says, in regards to the costume, you'd make a fine Egon. A Ray of Emotion says, watching on TV, so can't tell will be okay. Oh no, my massive... Yeah, okay. So, also, Mel says her app keeps crashing. Oh dear. So, you need a new computer, mate. You really do. I have been faffing about because... with the stream, with the studio, with the setup, I've been finding what works and I've been finding what doesn't work so much. And one of the things I did this afternoon that was really bugging me is that I'd noticed that with my monitors, speaker monitors, and the Technics loudspeakers and the display screens weren't quite central on the desk, and I measured it this afternoon and it was less than a centimetre out, but I noticed these things. So I took the stand apart and took the monitors down and moved everything round and put it all back, and it is now perfectly symmetrical, which pleases me. I have also, I don't know if you've noticed, the camera angle is subtly different from how it was last week because I've lowered all the display screens. I say all, there's only 2 of them. About 2.5-3 centimetres, because I was looking up at them and realised that's really not good ergonomically. So, yeah, I moved the stand down, put the camera back, everything else, faff about, tape measure, spanners, Allen keys, because of course I'm an Allen key ninja. I was wielding Allen keys again today. I'm now pleasantly surrounded symmetrically by 3 sets of speakers, 2 monitors, bunch of cameras, and the ring light at the top. Ryako Music says, I love the cosplay, it's totally proper. It took quite a while to amass everything, and I've dispensed with the catheter. I'd never noticed in the film, they've all got plastic pipes coming out of the legs. We've had this conversation before. It's not pleasant, so let's not go there. But I have a spigot on my leg at the moment, which means I am not going to pick up and play a guitar tonight, just in case I scratch it, because that wouldn't be good. So anyway, as I say, we've been going, 15 minutes, and I haven't even got started yet. It's been a busy week. I've got a page of notes. How mad is that? So, progress on the studio, as revealed on the Is It Form Yet show on Sunday night. The shelves are up. They are also a lot more full now than they were last Sunday night. If we switch over to tripod cam, you can see just how much fuller they are than they were on Sunday night, because I've been tidying up the house with all this spare room and bunches of crap, and all the crap's on the shelves now rather than cluttering up the house, which is rather good. My bedroom looks tidier than it has in about 15 years. How'd that happen? Watching last Sunday's show and editing it down afterwards, I do apologise, because Sunday I was knackered, and quite obviously knackered in the show. I mean, okay, I had a pint of lager on a pretty much empty stomach, but even so, I was knackered. next day, I didn't wake up until 11 o'clock in the morning. So, yeah, I was pretty far gone. I have been gradually recovering this week. And on Tuesday night, I got the best night's sleep I've had since the middle of September. Riaka Music says, the studio looks great and you seemed ridiculously tired. I was, mate. I absolutely was. Lesson being that I am now taking it very easy. So, yeah, he said, having put up a new set of IKEA CD shelves yesterday, which are now up in the living room, and I actually have spare CD place. And if you've seen the number of CDs I've got, you'll know that's quite an achievement. I'm all in here, in my happy place. I'm really enjoying it. Still moving kit round. Theremin's kind of not really usable there, but I'm hoping the guitar hangers are going to give me a little bit more space, because it's kind of cozy in here. There isn't a lot of room. In fact, if you look at the keyboards, I can play them all without getting out of this chair, which I couldn't do before. Gear-wise, at the moment, I think I'm good. I am awaiting the final part of the studio, which won't arrive, well, God knows when it'll arrive, which is a MIDI controller for the shelf, and that should arrive, fingers crossed, in December. Right. Free stuff. That's what you're watching for, isn't it? Free stuff. I have lots today. First of all, there is a new Labs pack out, and it's called Arctic Swells, and it's put together by an American sound collagist called John Mayer. Now, John Mayer has blended a Native American flute and a violin, and you'd think, how's that going to work? But I have to say that it works splendidly. I have already been using it quite a lot, and in fact, I think it's probably going to be one of the signature pieces of sound for my Geometry of Sleep album, which I have been working on to the extent that I now have the first 4 tracks finished. So I'm going to play you those 4 tracks today, and with that in mind, let's go to the first one, which is called Drowsing. Let's just unfreeze this, which could tax my computer rather a lot, but we'll see what happens. Still there? Good. Labs is a series of virtual instruments. They're VSTs that are put together by Spitfire Audio. And the idea is that they just try out sounds and experiments and weird stuff from their more commercial enterprises. And there are dozens of them. I mean, if I scroll through some of them, there's pianos, there's synth pads, there's a dulcimer, there's pedal pads, there's an old music box, there's whale song, there's recordings of building sites in Hackney that have been turned into drones, and they're all amazing. But the new one is superb. This is it. It's called Arctic Swells. You only get 2 patches. You get swells and you get decay, and I have fallen in love with swells, because if I play a little bit of this, so it's glitching a bit, so I'm going to freeze that again. Gunner Zero Recall says, how are you, bruv? I'm a lot better this week than I was last week, sir. I'll tell you that. Let's just freeze that track while I'm talking. Atitlan66 says, are these new tracks of reworkings of the one you decided you weren't happy with because your recording process had changed? Exactly so. And several of them have kept the name and the music's gone in the bin. That's how radical I got with this. With some of the others, I thought it's too complicated. There's too much stuff. It's all fighting each other. It needs to be more assimilable to a listener. So I've done an awful lot of that, paring down, chucking stuff out, changing stuff around, and because the elbow's a lot better now, there's guitar on it. So right, this is a new track. So I thought, okay, if I'm changing all the sound design and the soundscapes and the concepts, I need to set out expectations at the beginning. So the first track is going to be about using the main instruments that I will be using for the rest of the album, which is now going to be 12 tracks rather than the 10 it was originally going to be. And as I say, fell in love with Arctic Swells and thought, okay, so let's start off with that. Put a bit of guitar in, and then me being me, just play guitar for the rest of the track. And it's like, listening to it afterwards, it was like, that's not going to work. So I binned a lot of the guitar and did other stuff instead. And this, as it's now finished freezing, is what this track sounds like. So this is the opening track of The Geometry of Sleep, which is an album about trying to get a good night's sleep. And this track is called Drowsing. So yeah, who knew doubling the buffer size stops everything glitching? Hurrah! So that was Drowsing, which is the first track from the Geometry of Sleep. In the chat, we've been talking about fireworks, and Wobby says, yeah, got a traumatised dog here. Oh, poor Cheesy. Bonfire night is not a good night for pets. It really isn't. All those bangs and crashes and crackles and everything else. And Wobby says, I cut the toe out of a sock today, the stretchiest one I had, but it was way too small for Cheesy. Oh, what a shame. Oh, says Ryako Music. Right. Drowsing. Yes, I was after a very languid vibe, and Atitlan very kindly suggested that it sounds a bit Floydy, and that's praise indeed, because that's kind of the vibe. I'm a huge Richard Wright fan, even if I can't play keyboards like he could. I've been trying out some new techniques that I haven't actually done before. One of the things that I did with this is that I've used my trusty Korg M3, which I've had for donkey's years, and one of my go-to patches on the Korg M3 is called Cinematic Piano, which sounds like this. So, all well and good. I got diverted, and it's a diversion that I'll share with you when we've finished talking about this, because it's more free stuff and more good stuff, and didn't kind of work. So what I did, I played the Korg, and it's this track here on Ableton, but I also enabled a MIDI track so that I could record the MIDI information as I was playing and recording the audio from the Korg. I could record exactly the same performance just as the MIDI notes, and then I was going to use this new free instrument that I downloaded this week. But it was stupendously laggy. Now, I don't know if that's my machine. I don't know if it's the length of the MIDI cable that I was using, but I don't have that problem with other MIDI instruments. Although this was glitching a lot, there's an awful lot of processing going on this track. I ended up with a MIDI recording of that performance. So what I've done is I used one of Ableton's built-in instruments, which is Sampler, and it's a patch called Grand Piano Reverse, and it sounds like this. Which is on its own not particularly tuneful and a bit weird, but if you play the two together, so the original performance using the cinematic piano and the reverse grand piano, and let's turn that volume back down to the -14 that it was, you get this kind of effect. So, kind of fell on that by accident because I was trying something else and something else didn't work. And that combination I've kind of fallen in love with. Atticlan66 says, that's really nice. It stood out in the track as soon as it came in. I did drop the guitars to give that patch space. I've been trying very, very hard to avoid my tendency to throw the kitchen sink in all the time, all over the place, because it doesn't work. And I'm trying to force myself to leave more space. Not always successfully, but that's kind of what I wanted to do on this track. There's real bass, there's a whole bunch of EBO guitar. In fact, how much EBO have I been using this week? I had to use a new battery in it because the old one had gone flat. That's how much I've been using EBO this week. So I've now got a track with the main sort of instruments. So you've got the guitar, you've got the Labs Arctic Swells, you've got the weird piano with the reversey bits, and the RG9BK with a real electric bass. And as Atitlan says, ambient needs sounds to have room to breathe. You've got to let stuff develop. You've got to give it gaps. And I'm dreadful at doing that. And that's one of the things I'm trying to do in this. So anyway, that is track 1. So while track 2 is loaded, I will tell you about John Meyer, who created the Arctic Swells pad for Labs, is a member of a community who basically produce sample packs. And they... oh, that was a pretty firework. Sorry, squirrel. This community produce sample packs, and the community is free to join, and the sample packs are free to download. And the community is called Piano Book. pianobook.co.uk. Do check out the website because they are asking for choir samples, vocal samples, for the biggest community sampled choir ever produced. The project's called Winter Voices, as you can see there. The idea is that you submit your vocal samples to them, and the details on how to do it and what format and everything else are on the website. You have to do that by November the 30th. They are then going to build a sample pack out of it, and they will release that on Christmas Day. So Piano Book is about loads and loads and loads and loads of people getting together and creating sample packs. And the one that I watched, because it's produced by Christian Henson, who you may recognise as the guy who does most of Spitfire Audio's YouTube content, is a member of Piano Book, as is John Meyer. And Christian has produced a free sample pack called Autumn Piano. And you literally just go to this page, click on the free download, you give them your email, your first name and your last name, and they'll give you a download. And Autumn Piano works for Contact, which you need the full version of, but it also works as you also get in the bundle, you get the whole thing as an SFZ file and as a decent sampler file as well, which is another free audio sampler piece of software. And so I downloaded it, and be warned, it's 1.9 gigabytes, but it's 3 layers of piano samples. So there's flannel over the strings for the very, very quiet stuff, felt over the strings for the medium stuff, and then just naked piano for the loud stuff. And it sounds really, really nice. And on the YouTube channel, it sounds stunning. But when I tried playing it with Ableton was really struggling. Now, I'm hoping that if I eventually get the full version of Contact, it's more usable in Contact. It could just be an artifact of the Sforzando player. Ryako Music says, maybe I should contribute some vocals to that choir thing. You definitely should. Atitlan says SFZ is the one that works with Plogue, isn't it? Indeed. And I actually dropped Plogue into that last track, and loaded the autumn piano, and that's the piano sample that didn't work for me because it was just so laggy. It was actually, from pressing the keys on the keyboard to hearing it come out of there, was a quarter of a bar, and it's like, seriously? So further research is required, I think. There are a whole bunch of other really, really good sampled pianos, and there's some flute and violin, there's some family choirs, there's all sorts of stuff. So pianobook.co.uk, go over there, knock yourself out, download loads and loads of free sample packs. Be warned, some of them require the full version of Contact Player ain't going to play them, which is a shame, but I've downloaded them ready for when I do have the full version of Contact. So that was free stuff number 2. So you've got Arctic Swells from Labs, and you've got Autumn Piano from pianobook.co.uk, both very, very large downloads of really, really interesting tonal qualities. And so there's some free stuff. While I'm at it, tomorrow is Bandcamp Friday again. So I'm going to take this opportunity, he said, firing up the web browser once again. And let's hastily not look at the situation in the States. Bandcamp are waiving their revenue share tomorrow from 8 a.m. GMT on November the 6th, which is midnight Pacific time, to midnight Pacific time on Saturday morning, November the 7th. So that's 8 a.m. November the 6th GMT to 8 a.m. November the 7th GMT. And should you wish to purchase any music from Bandcamp, such as perhaps that you might find at headfirstonly.bandcamp.com, then Bandcamp will not be taking their normal cut of revenue. They will pass it on to the artist. Sadly, PayPal will still take their cut, as I discovered last month, but never mind. So head over to Bandcamp tomorrow. Spread some love with some of your favourite artists and buy their music. And God knows musicians need all the support they can get at the moment. The UK is back in lockdown. It's looking pretty grim, I'm afraid. Right, track number 2 has loaded. Now, this one I have played you. In fact, I've played you it several times. But I don't think you're going to recognise it because I have pulled this apart. It's radically rebalanced. There are now, because Elbow, 6 guitar tracks on it. So this one was originally going to be the opening track on the album. So if you remember, it started off with a ticking clock. So I was really clever. I had everything laid out at 60 BPM. Recorded one of the clocks downstairs, and it didn't work for me. It just got irritating after a while. When I listened to it a few times, it was like, no. So I've pulled most of it apart, cut it up into bits, left spaces for things to develop and just resonate, and well, see what you think. This now sounds very different. This one is called Retiring. Play on words, you see? It's retired and retire. Yeah, okay. Here we go. So that is version 3 of Retiring. Reacco Music says, it reminds me of early 90s film music. After I'd been doing the guitars for a bit, I thought this is either Robert Fripp or Michael Nyman, and I think it's kind of veering to being a bit Nyman-esque, because all those guitars just came out of, I think, because if you remember, I'd used the G&L S500 and just wailed away on the Strat, and it was way too self-indulgent. So I thought I'd do something a bit different and just did a bunch of minimalist motifs, like Michael Nyman tends to do, like Steve Reich, like Philip Glass and all that. And it kind of worked. So I built on it, and then I thought, oh, I could do another track as harmony of that. And as you can see, doing one track as harmony ended up with 6 tracks that gradually build in, and then when all 6 tracks are going, I drop out most of the backing to give them space, and showed them off. Good evening, Juha. Januaris joins us from Finland. Yay, he says, I almost remembered to join the stream. Hello for almost joining us. So we're talking about stuff. Catch the replay. There's a new labs pack out. There's new samples to download from pianobook.co.uk. Loads and loads of good stuff. January says, haha, I love stuff. Don't we all? Especially free stuff. So yeah, this has been unguitared and then re-guitared, and it's odd. I have favourite guitars, and I have guitars that kind of don't always get the love they deserve. And one guitar that I've had a bit of a strange relationship since I bought it 3 years ago is this one. And yes, it looks like a piece of G-plan furniture. You can't really get the benefit. I think the saturation might be a bit down on this camera, because this is quite garish. Mind your belt thingy, says Wobby. Yeah, indeed, which is why I'm not holding it anywhere close to my body or the spigot on my leg. But so this is a Godin XTSA special edition. One of the last guitars that Godin built that was made using rosewood, and there ain't going to be any more of these, and there's only one other of these in the country in this finish. And it's heavy as hell for one thing, and I kind of used it until I bought the Fly as a synth controller and never really as a guitar. But then I sort of twigged it's pretty much the closest thing I've got to a Les Paul. And once I'd figured out, oh, well, this is a Les Paul analog, then suddenly that meant, all right, I understand what I can use this with. And hence, all the guitar on this track that I've just played you is the Godin. And I've been using it a lot this week, which surprised me no end. And with a nice bit of chorus on it, it does sound rather Robert Frippy. And to that end, I have a new favourite plugin, and it's a Waves plugin, and it's called Mondo Mod. So it's this one here, and that's just dropped on the guitar submix, and it basically listens to the BPM and then does chorus and flanging and all sorts of interesting effects. And I just really liked, if I solo the guitars, you can hear what it sounds like. Now, if I drop it out, drop it back in. I just love that sound. And again, having a sound that you're enthused about is a lot to do with whether a track's going to catch fire or not. Now, Array of Emotions has been asking loads of questions, and I apologise for not answering them sooner. Right, first of all, Array of Emotions says, is there still ticking of the clock in there? No, got rid of it. It was bugging me, and it was just a bit too obvious, so got rid of it. Array of Emotions says, so what do you mean by Les Paul-like? Do you mean just the shape or the hardware in it? The lot. I mean, the shape is kind of Les Paul-y. It's got the big humbuckers in it. It's got a bunch of other stuff as well. I mean, it has stuff that the Les Paul doesn't, but it weighs a ton, and that alters the tone of the guitar. It's very, very Les Paul-y. It sounds really nice, more or less clean with a bit of chorus on it, which is all of that. And Atticlan says about the Mondo mod, it's really good when you want a sound to flit around the soundstage. Absolutely. And some of the other settings on Mondo mod are ridiculous. And there's one called Underwater, and it's like, why would you use that? But the choruses on it, I've been using a lot. And once again, I've dropped in the Labs Arctic Swells, because Labs Arctic Swells, and I really like it. So if you haven't downloaded the latest free Labs plugin from Spitfire Audio, get yourself the Spitfire Audio app, grab all the Labs plugins, but specifically Arctic Swells, which came out a few days ago, and I have been using profusely in the last few tracks. That's track number 2, he said, rapidly consulting his notes while you're not looking. And Mel and I were chatting on Tinternet a couple of days ago, and she asked me a question which really got me thinking, which was, when you have a project, do you go into it knowing that it'll succeed? To which I said, well, it's more a case of I sort of flail about for a bit until something catches fire. And once it catches fire, it's like, oh, right, okay, I can see the shape of this now. I can see how this is going to work. And to be honest, this album, The Geometry of Sleep, has involved a considerable amount of flailing about. There has also been times when I've thought, yeah, that'll work now. And then I've listened to it on headphones late at night when I've finished doing stuff for the day and realised, no, it won't. So Mel was basically saying, how do you know when something catches fire? To which I have been devoting a considerable amount of thought. I've come up with 4 basic things that to me make me think, yeah, this is probably going to be worth putting on Bandcamp, rather than, yeah, this needs to be buried in the back garden so that it never sees the light of day again. The first, and these are all responses that I have to pieces of music that I've been working on. First one is, I want to listen to that again. When something's really caught fire and I've really become enthused about it, I'll listen to it and then think, I'm going to rewind and listen to that again because that's so cool. So it's that first response is, I want to listen to that again. If, as the person who created it has that reaction on something, then maybe there's something happening there. Good evening to Fresh Doge. Hope you are well. Hope lockdown France is tolerable down there. We're talking about how you know when a piece of music's worth proceeding with or not. And January says, yep, you've got to look for that. Good observation. So yeah, it's wanting to hear something again. Second point is you listen to something and you think, yeah, that's a nice vibe. And by that, I mean it's coherent. I mean that it makes sense and it flows. It's not something that grinds to a halt or suddenly turns into something else halfway through. Although, surprise and a sudden left turn has their place in music. Absolutely. But the nice vibe, it makes sense as a track from start to finish, but also, and coming back to what I was talking about setting out the vibe and the instruments and the techniques and the music and the timbres that I'm using on this album, it means it coheres from the start of the album to the end of the album. So it feels part of a whole. So that's number 2. So you want to listen to it again, and you're listening to something that feels like it's something from something larger, and it makes sense as part of that larger thing. Third thing is, that's cool. Something that makes you listen to and makes your ears wake up and pay attention, or just you're sitting there going, wow, that I really like that. So that's number 3. And 4, which doesn't happen with me very often, is the oh wow response. And going back to Eddie Van Halen, who passed away last month, every album that Van Halen brought out, there would be something on that album that would make me go, oh wow. And the reason I would say, oh wow, was because it would immediately be followed by the question, how the hell did he do that? What am I listening to? I don't even know what that instrument is that he's playing. Is that a synthesizer or is that him on the guitar? So 4 things. You want to hear it again? It's got a nice vibe. It's coherent. That's cool. And oh wow. And if you've got one or more of those, then I'd argue that's a sign that maybe what you're putting together is going to work. So does that answer your question, Mel? Mel says, I have the cry test. So Mel has done a musical about artificial intelligences, and there is a track on Mel's musical called Merge, and it is quite emotional, and that's one of the tracks that Mel says makes her cry, and it is a gorgeous track. While we're chatting about projects, I should have consulted my notes to find out what track number 3 is and loaded the aforementioned track in Ableton, but I'm just doing that now. DeFresto says, by the way, I received an email from Beatport. You can get Iris 2 by Isotope for free with a coupon code IrisBP on Plugin Boutique. Ooh, I think I might have Iris. I have a bunch of Isotope stuff anyway, but thanks for the heads up. That is worth knowing. I'm trying not to go to Plugin Boutique because I would spend lots of money. January says, yeah, that's another good observation about Van Halen, because I listen to a lot of new music and those criteria also apply to finding something you want to listen to. Atitland66 says, Iris 2 has been a giveaway previously. It is very, very cool for textural sounds. Riaka Music says, oh, thanks. You're welcome, Mel. Right, we have track number 3 loaded. Track number 3 is called Drifting Off. As you can see, track number 3 is now at version 4. And once again, I dumped most of the track. All the orchestral stuff, all the Spitfire Audio Discover package has gone. It just wasn't working for me. And if you remember, this is the track that I started off with a bunch of Labs backing and Mellotron, and I had a piano melody line on it, and the melody line was bugging me, so I got rid of the piano and did guitar with the G&L S500 again, which was going to be the instrument that was the main theme through the album. It's all gone. And I realised that it was the melody that was bugging me, not the instrument that I was using to play it. So, very, very much start from, not entirely from scratch, but not far off. You notice once again we have the reversed grand piano and the Korg M3 cinematic piano. So again, I'm using recurring instruments, and once again we've got the Godin, and the Godin is being treated by Mondo Mod, so it's kind of the same patch, and it's kind of the same sound, and it's kind of the same textures, but the original Mellotron has gone, and oh look, it's been replaced by Labs Arctic Swells. See if you recognise the melody from the three other occasions that I've played this, because the basic descending note of the Mellotron is still there, but it all sounds a bit different, and it's not the track it was, but I'm much happier. I think this track now, as with the other two tracks, I think this track is done. See what you think. So that was version 4 of Drifting Off. DeFreshdo says, is the Valhalla reverb here? Indeed it is. It's on the E-Bode guitars in rather large quantities. Curse, I just love Valhalla's supermassive, absolutely stonking free reverb. If you've not got a copy, then do get a copy. That's it there. So I'm using the Forever Verb preset, which I toned down rather a lot and also changed the beat time signature on it. But absolutely love it to bits. DeFreshdo says, I knew it, in all caps. Yeah, it's just got that certain je ne sais quoi. It's just got such a distinctive vibe, and I like the vibe, and I'm going to use it. So once again, got the Godins, got the Mondo mod. Once again, we've got a performance on the Korg M3 cinematic piano. Which has been doubled by recording the MIDI from the Korg as I was playing the synthesizer, and that is then dropped onto the reverse grand piano, which I also love the effect. I just love that. I'm all about the layering these days, far more than I used to be. Why stick at one synth when you've got a rack of physical synths behind you and a whole bunch of software synths as well? DeFreshdo says, it got a je ne sais... Right, nice French accent. Thank you, sir. Praise indeed. The piano was so beautiful. The melody you wrote for it kind of hits me in the feels. Reminds me of some sad Mass Effect moments. Yeah, I've noticed it's this track and Drowsing to a certain extent feel a bit sort of not upbeat, but not entirely down, but certainly there's a little hint of nostalgia, bit of reverie in there. It's sort of, kind of vibe. But I like the vibe that's sort of almost organically developed from it as a result of just playing stuff along to it and thinking, oh, that's rather nice. And maybe that's just the headspace I'm in at the moment. But if so, I am really loving it. So I'm going to just carry on going in that direction. So that's track number 3. Do you want to hear track number 4? Because that one, let me just save this, because hearing that now, the guitars needed to be, well, the pianos needed to be a little bit louder than they were when I mixed it down. So I'm just going to save that. You know where it says you better play it. Okay, so track number 4 is called Slow Theta. So again, most of these tracks are all about phases of sleep or not symptoms, but actual things that happen during sleep. And it's not a track that I've opened recently, because this was one that I was kind of actually quite happy with. This was one of the ones. Ryako Music says, play it. DeFreshdo says, we're waiting for track 4. All right, you said right on cue. You all said the right thing. That's really nice. Track 4, this one, Slow Theta. This is the track that something happened over the summer, and as Mel put it, you leveled up. And yeah, I think I'm definitely hearing stuff in my music now that was not there 3 months ago. So something has definitely changed. I mean, good Lord, something has changed in here now since I had the new studio set up. I can actually mix stuff and hear stuff and locate stuff in the stereo field properly, because my head's now absolutely symmetrically positioned between the two loudspeakers, which, horrendous admission to make, for the last 5 years I've been more or less over at sort of 3/4 to the right for most of the mixing that I do, and I've then had to roll my chair to the center of the sound field to listen to the final mix because of just how completely cramped and mangled the space was under the bed, which is, you've seen the opening credits on this show, you know what it was like. It was crazy. And now I'm not getting a huge bass trap from the mattress that was 6 inches above my head, and everything is a little bit clearer than it used to be. And as January says, Chris is entering his golden age. Yeah, well, I just hope it lasts. That's all I'll say. So, right, Ableton has burst back into life with track number 4, which is called Slow Theta. One thing you'll notice on this, there's only 15 tracks on it. There's very, very little going on, but what there is going on, I make count. So this is called Slow Theta. So there you have it. That is Slow Theta, which is... I'm going to leave that one as it is, I think. I think going back to that one, Mel says, I like the glitchiness and the sort of whooshiness of the BBC Symphony Orchestra Discover package, because it's not quite on the beat. It's a bit sort of off and all over the place. And I've actually started using the delay function on Ableton to try and synchronize stuff. But yeah, a bit different. And if the earlier tracks were sounding a bit Michael Nyman-ish, that rhythm, that driving synth beat, I think that this track probably owes Hans Zimmer a beer at the very least, because it's got that kind of Hans Zimmer vibe to the bass synth on it. So yeah, that's track 4. I mentioned earlier that I have now moved from there being 10 tracks on the album to being 12 tracks on the album. And I've been toying with a couple of things, but one of the tracks that I kind of made a start on and then thought, nah, don't like this, is a track that I can't remember if I've played it you or not, called Anxiety Dreams. And again, there were sort of a few elements on the original that I thought, it's kind of okay. But sat down and thought, well, look, if I'm thinking, well, it's kind of okay, that's, for me, a bit of a sign that maybe it's not really, and that you need to actually start again. So that's kind of what I've done. So Anxiety Dreams version 2 is effectively a brand new piece of music that I started working on this afternoon. So it's kind of not finished, but I thought to finish off tonight's stream that I'd share with you what I've done so far as a work in progress. And I would welcome your thoughts on whether this is going to work or not. Various people talking about falling asleep to music. Ryaka Music says, I can't fall asleep to music at all. I wear earplugs and need silence. And DeFresto says, which synth did you use for the pulse bass? I think it's Pigments. What I can do, we'll go back and check in a minute after I played this, but we'll go back to the previous track and I'll tell you. DeFresto says, I need MP3 sagas or music, even the heavy stuff, so I can't sleep with silence. Yano Aries says, adding songs, eh? Do you ever edit stuff out of an album? Like Stephen King's second draft, his first draft, 10%, minus 10%. Oh, goodness me, yes. The first album that I did, the version that's on Bandcamp, I think has 12 tracks on it. I wrote 19, and it was culling the not so the ones that basically I'm listening to thinking, well, yeah, it's okay, and going back to, does it catch fire or not? If it's okay is the best reaction that stuff gets, then these days it's like, well, it's not good enough. I'm going to pull it apart and start again. And that's kind of what I've done with this. So to preempt the French Doge, to explain what I've got here, again, we have the Korg M3, cinematic piano. The performance on MIDI is piped into Ableton simultaneously, which is then using grand piano reverse, which is the Ableton stock sampler instrument in Ableton Live. The bass synth has Native Instruments Massive, which is doing a really nice rather funky bass line, which sounds like this. And I'm also using Wave's flow motion stereo synth, which is doubling it, and that sounds like this. So layered synths for the bass. Use the RG9BK, which is my 9-string guitar for the bass. And then there's a bunch of very, very shouty metal guitar chords. And yeah, I'll just play it you. And it's not finished, but this is called Anxiety Dreams, which is something I know a lot about. So it's when you're having a dream and you gradually realize that things aren't going well, or you're trying to get somewhere and you go down a road and then you realize that this isn't the road that you thought it was when you started going down it, or you're trying to climb stairs and you can't climb the stairs. That's an anxiety dream. I'm a master of anxiety dreams, and they suck. So I'm trying to sort of exorcise my tendencies and proclivities for anxiety dreams by making a piece of music out of them. And this is what it sounds like so far. So that's Anxiety Dreams. Thanks for the feedback in the chat. The Fresh Doge says the reverse synth adds to the anxiety. It's a nice touch of weirdness. I really like that reverse piano, and it needs to be layered with a normal piano, like the synth that I've got behind me. And as you may have noticed, although I'm not going to do anything about it, I actually recorded the main verse parts of the track with the Korg in mono, and then it splits out to stereo. And I'd noticed the fact, and then did the B sections with the Korg in mono, in stereo, and I kind of like that as an effect. It's subtle, but it's like, okay, what just changed there? Yano Eris says very, very helpful feedback about the bass guitar, which is it's a bit in your face, but I mean, hey, you've seen have you seen the guitar? The guitar involved is this. So this is an Ibanez RG9 BK. It is not a subtle instrument. So from low to high, it's C sharp, F sharp, B, E, A, D, G, B, E. So top 6 strings the same as a normal guitar, and then the bottom 3 just continue the pattern of fifths, is it, going downwards. And it's this is the bass that I was playing on the solo guitar throughout that track. And again, it's my tendency of just playing all the way through, and yeah, I think the track probably needs a little bit less of this baby, but it's great fun to play, although the neck is about the size of a cricket bat. So, questions being asked in the chat about what the distorted guitars are. Well, it's 3 distorted guitars. There's the Parker Fly, which is on the right channel. The left channel is another Ibanez. It's my shouty heavy metal guitar, which is this one, which is a 1990 model Ibanez RG770. So it's effectively a Steve Vai gem, but without the monkey grip and the flashy floral inlay markers. Everything. It's got the tiger claw style Floyd Rose on it, and very, very shouty pickups on it, and a pretty much flat fingerboard. It is a really, really nice guitar to play. And then the third distorted guitar is this one, which is my Jackson Sandemus Adrian Smith signature model. So again, Floyd Rose, humbucker in the bridge position, and that's it. All being fed through an array of guitar pedals that I've got on my feet, but mainly a Zoom G3 multi-effects pedal and a Digitech Bad Monkey to overdrive the input into the Zoom G3. Yano Aris says, I like how high frequency brilliant the distortion sounds, but maybe you've got to tame it a little bit. I have actually, as you can see, done quite a lot of taming. Maybe low pass at 8K or 10K or something. Yeah, what have we got? No, I haven't got any low pass at all. So yeah, let's do that now and drop it in at 10K ish. Let's see what that sounds like. that howl. Maybe if I shallow that out a bit. Says, yeah, it now highlights the mud a bit, but there's a balance there to be found. Indeed, I'll tweak that over the next day. I'll probably be working on that again tomorrow. Don't think I'll be working on it after the stream finishes tonight, which is what I have been doing on some of these streams. I get so fired up about talking about music that when I close down the stream and everything, I think, oh, I'll just do another hour's work on that. But maybe not tonight, because I's getting tired. So me elbow pads are coming off because my elbows are getting sweaty, and fancy dress and all that is most amusing, but yeah, only in small doses. But Riako Music says maybe some little EQ cuts. Yeah, I will be playing at great length with Ozone and Neutron and possibly some other EQ stuff as well. There's nothing in the master track at all at the moment, so I'm basically just concentrating on the timbres and the general vibes at the moment, rather than the EQs and how things sit together in the mix. I tend to do that later on, so that's what I'm going to do. Right, the French Doge was asking about the bass on the last track. So I'm going to open the last track again and we'll find out what the bass was on that. Riako Music says, maybe some little EQ cuts, and about me saying I'm tired. Go to bed. No, I'm not going to. Yano Arias mentions Maniac. Right, question for you, Yuha. Which one? There are two. There is the original Swedish version, which looks amazing, and there's the rather sort of lame American remake, which I ended up watching an entire episode of by mistake and thinking, this can't be the show that Yuha was raving about. It's... January says, oh, I haven't seen the Swedish one. Jonah Hill, Emma Stone. Yeah, that's the one I watched. It was like, this is a bit sort of, yeah. But then I went back and thought, oh, and the Swedish one, oh my God. It's like, watch, they're both on Netflix. And you do a search and they appear next to each other. So I went, oh, I'll watch that one. And then when I sort of finished episode 1 and thought, well, yeah, it's kind of okay. See, we're back to this kind of okay thing. And then I went, I wonder what that one's like. And watched the other one. And it was like, so that was my reaction. See what you think. Check out the Swedish version of Maniac. What else was I watching this week? I was watching something, I can't remember. Squirrel. In fact. Squirrel. And in fact, that's how bad it's got round here. So, yeah. The American Maniac gets way more sci-fi in episode 3. Ah, right. Riaka Music says, it wasn't your jam, Krish. It's that whole sort of, and it's going back to the anxiety dreams thing of saying that, you know, my anxiety levels are high at the best of times. And watching a protagonist who is in severely anxiety-inducing situations is kind of uncomfortable. But Yanuara says the American Maniac gets way more sci-fi in episode 3. It's setting the scene for 2 episodes. Okay, I will stick it out, but I am definitely going to watch the Swedish version all the way through because it's just mad, as it should be. Right, all this Ryako music says, I remember the squirrel. There's you can see me Halloween LED pumpkin. This is my my flashing LED pumpkin, which I thought I'd use for the stream tonight because I'm in Ghostbusters Halloween cosplay and whatever else. But I'll switch it off in a minute. Somewhere in there, there's oh yeah, you can see him there. Is Max Rebo, and there are various other small furry animals gathered together in a cave grooving with a pict at various other places around the house, but they may migrate in here because apparently cuddly toys and cats and stuff are the way to really win over new viewers. If they see you've got a squirrel, I mean, come on, what else do you need from a screen? What other stream brings you squirrels, eh? That's answer me that. Right. Previous track has loaded, and the answer is it's from the Arturia V collection. It is Arturia's model of the SEM. So to play it, here we go. Something strange is occurring. What have I done? Maybe if I unsolo that, let's see what happens. I'll play it again. So it works fine then. But if I solo it, it doesn't work. How very, very, very odd. Music says, where did you put Nevermore? Oh, he's in my bedroom, along with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, strangely enough. Yeah, maybe what I can do then is if I just press the button on this, can I? Oh, maybe it's pigments. Bear with me a second. There you go, it's pigments. So, yeah, I've probably tweaked the preset, although I may not have done. But it's called Baser is the bass preset there. Lovely sound. Like I say, I absolutely love pigments. Atiklan says that thing has a really raw sound. You've tamed it a lot. That's got a good woody bass sample texture to it. Ryako Music says Igor Stravinsky is on my shelf above the bed. You see, I do not name most of these things that I've acquired or people have given me over the years, but yes, I have a raven in the bedroom that well, Mel was there when we visited Stonehenge. I bought it in the English Heritage Shop, and the raven is called Quoth. Because Quoth the Raven. Yeah, never mind. Anyway, folks, I've been going hour and 50 minutes. I've played you five pieces of music from the album. That's kind of about me done for this evening. So don't forget, there is a new Labs VST free plugin for your door that you can use, which is called Arctic Swells. That is the creation of John Mayer, Meyer. It's a combination of flute and violin, or Native American flute and violin. John Mayer, I found out, is also a member of the Piano Book community, and they are a community of people who sample pianos and then upload the sample libraries in either Contact, Sforzando, or Decent Sampler format files for you to download and use for free, which is brilliant. Another thing about Labs, if you haven't already tried Labs, try Labs. I found out this week how many people are using or have downloaded the Labs VST plugins, and I was gobsmacked. Do you guys want to hazard a guess just how many people are using Labs with their DAWs? Go on. I'll give you a minute to get over the latency in the stream. Ryako Music says, oh no, sorry, it's not Ryako Music. Atitlan66 says, the SEM raw sounding comments way behind the stream as usual. DeFresto says, too bad I missed the first three. I'll watch what I missed on YouTube. Yep, I'll edit it tomorrow. Should be up tomorrow afternoon. Or go over to twitch.tv/headfirstonly, and as soon as the stream finishes, the unedited version of the stream is available on Twitch to watch for the next 60 days, as are the previous streams. But as they roll off the end, don't worry, because all my old streams are on YouTube, on my Headfirst Only YouTube channel. There are separate playlists for these Thursday night Twitch live streams, the 5090 show Twitch live streams that I did on Sunday night between July the 4th and October the 1st-ish, when the 5090 songwriting challenge was underway. And there is a third playlist on my YouTube channel, which is the Is It Form Yet show, which currently only has 4 shows on it, but I will be running that until Form gets underway next February the 1st on 2021. And we now have some estimates. So Dufresh Dose says 40,000. Array of Emotion says 2.5 million. And Ryako Music says 300,000. So Mel is actually closest, but the actual answer is just over 1 million users of Labs, which was about an order of magnitude bigger than I was expecting it to be. So much kudos to the Spitfire audio team for putting together something that is that popular, and that tells you a lot about just how good a free package the Labs unending stream of virtual instruments are. Get the Spitfire audio app, go nuts, get them all, because they are really, really interesting and creatively very inspiring. And Arctic Swells, as you will have seen this evening, features prominently on the Geometry of Sleep and will feature prominently on the other tracks that I have left to do. So with that, I am going to bid you good night, and I hope wherever you are, whether you're in lockdown or not, that you are able to stay safe, stay well, stay fed and watered, even if you can't go to the pub, which sucks. And wear a damn mask. It's not rocket science. Wear a damn mask. It's not just about you catching stuff. It's about you possibly giving the coronavirus to somebody else because you don't know you've got it. So wear a mask, please. I will be back on Sunday with the Is It Form Yet show number 5. Hopefully I will have even more new music to share with you. Maybe we'll find some more interesting free stuff to download on the internet. But whatever the case, I look forwards to seeing you all on Sunday night, 9 p.m. GMT, 10 p.m. Europe, whatever it is, wherever you are in the rest of the world. And if not, then do catch me on YouTube afterwards. But until Sunday night, look after yourselves, take care, and I'll see you soon.